Relative minor. It's more than what you can call your teenage girlfriend if you're living in the Deep South. It's actually a really helpful piece of music theory that is simple to understand and has really an infinite amount of ways to utilize. So this is also going to kind of double as how to find out what key you're in if you don't know the chords. But basically, the simple answer of what relative minor means is it's the minor scale that goes along with kind of like a partnered major scale. So what that means is, let's just say we're in the key of C, right? We know we're in the key of C. We need to know where the relative minor is, and there are two very easy ways to find out. If you know what the notes are in the key of C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, you can always look at the sixth note. So in any major scale, the sixth note is going to be that scale's or that key's relative minor. So C major and A minor partner up very well together. Now, all that means is the minor scale is located within a key on that sixth note. Now, especially for guitar, a really easy way to figure this out is, let's say you know, it doesn't even matter what key you're in, but let's stay in C for just a second here. So if we know that the 8th fret on the low E string is a C, you can count through the major scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and find out that this is the relative minor, being A. Or an easier way to do it, I think, is just take whatever root note you're on and back it up 3 frets. And that's going to be the best way, the quickest way to find out what the relative minor is until you start to get all the stuff in your head and you can just recall it instantly. So if you're in the key of C, you just back up 1, 2, 3 frets, and there's where the minor scale exists, right? If you're in the key of A, you don't even have to know you're in the key of A. If you just know that this is your root note for whatever key you're in, you just back it up 3 frets. So the relative minor of A is F sharp. The relative minor of D, 1, 2, 3, is B. Now, how does this help us out? So we're going to talk a little bit about the minor scale, and specifically the minor pentatonic scale. And this is going to be the best way to find out what key you're in my opinion. This is how I do it. The best way to find out what key you're in if you don't know the chords, right? So let's just look at the minor scale real quick, right? Let's keep it in A minor. So we've got 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 8, 5, 7, 9, 5, 7, 5, 6, 8, 5, 7, 8. Now, if you don't know how to get that, I can link to another video, but let's just assume you know how to make the minor scale. And let's actually simplify it even more. Let's make the minor pentatonic scale. The only difference between minor scale and the minor pentatonic scale, you can think of the minor pentatonic scale as being kind of like the minor scale light. It's only 2 notes per string instead of how sometimes the minor scale will have 3. So the A minor pentatonic shape and it's really like the first scale shape I ever learned. It's probably the most popular scale shape. Looks like this. 5, 8, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 7, 5, 8, 5, 8. So basically, that's just taking kind of like the highlights of the A minor scale and just kind of condensing them into 2 notes per string, right? Now, minor pentatonic is valuable for a lot of reasons. And in fact, kind of like a credo of soloing that I stand by is, when in doubt, minor pentatonic. Now, the reason that is because it sounds good or passable over chords that aren't even minor chords, right? So for instance, any progression in the key of C major, we could play that A minor pentatonic over and it would sound good. But besides that, you could even play the minor scale or the minor pentatonic scale over, you could play a C minor pentatonic over a C major chord. For instance, here, let me just loop a C major chord real quick. Right, so there's a C, right? Naturally, you'd want to play the A minor pentatonic scale. And that's kind of where it's going to fit the best. But you can actually play a C minor pentatonic scale over that. So the strange thing is, it actually doesn't sound too bad, and I'm kind of playing the opposite of maybe what I intended to. So when in doubt, minor pentatonic. So again, everything we've talked about so far is assuming we know what the chords are and what key you're in, right? But eventually, there's going to be a time in your life where you're playing guitar with some hippie, and he's playing the chords, and you're like, hey bro, what key are you in? He's like, keys, man, I'm playing in the key of love. And you're like, whatever, that's not helping me at all. So let's say you just have a chord progression, and you need to find out where you would play a solo over it, and you don't even know the chords. Maybe you can look at his hands, but maybe he's in weird tuning, whatever. So I'm just going to kind of lay down a chord progression and show you how you can use that relative minor and minor pentatonic thing to use your ears to find out. So I'm not even going to tell you the chords here. I'm just going to do a quick little loop, and we're going to show you how you can use the minor pentatonic scale to find out what key you're in and where to put the shapes and everything like that, okay? So here's the loop. Okay, so we have that kind of going over and over again. And now, the way that I like to think of it, I like to kind of cycle through different minor pentatonic shapes until I kind of find the one that sounds the best and sounds the most right. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play the loop and I'm gonna cycle through just a little 3-note kind of part of the minor pentatonic scale, right? So again, if we just take the bottom 3 strings of the minor pentatonic, I'm gonna simplify it even more. I'm just gonna cut it down to these 3 notes, the index finger on each of them. And I'm gonna play it backwards. Now you can kind of think of this as an arpeggio for a minor chord, right? If like this is a minor chord voice and you just play the bottom 3 strings. So I'm gonna cycle through every single fret until I find the one that fits the best, okay? So here's the loop. That's not it. No. No. That sounded okay, but I'm gonna keep going. That was close, it sounded right, but... And then I get here and then, okay, maybe I can try the whole shape. So once I got to this shape right here, which is the E minor pentatonic shape, it sounded the most correct, in my opinion. Now, also, too, there were 2 sections that sounded okay, too, and that was on the A and the B. Now, basically, I thought that the one that sounded most right was the one here on the E, right? So, kind of reverse engineering what we already talked about. If I just go forward 3 frets, 1, 2, 3, from the minor pentatonic that I was just playing, I end up on a G. So I can discern that I'm in the key of G major because E minor pentatonic sounded the most correct. Now, A minor pentatonic and B minor pentatonic didn't sound bad at all because those would be representative of minor scale modes in the key of G. So my advice to kind of like just start playing with your ears a little more is just to kind of pick out a pattern. Like again, for me, the one that helped me out the most was just taking and playing those 3 notes backwards, and I kind of just developed a sense for where that fit in the best spot. And for me, that was the best way to find out what key I'm in, and that all came from the power of relative minor.